All right, okay, here we are. Now you can see what I was talking about, Red Hill. The sun's rising just over there. That hill absolutely glows. Now it's pre-dawn, obviously. Got myself set up. Had to scurry up the side of the hill, a couple of loads to get this all here, and now ready to get into it. All right, just get the pellet knives. So again, I'm doing it on white prime canvas, 2 pallet knives, big and medium. Now I've got plenty of paint on the pallet there, more than I needed, but that's fine. The good thing about these tins is you can put it back in, if it hasn't been out too long, and it won't dry on you. So I'll just put in the clean parts. I obviously won't put in the stuff that's mixed. Now, where's that rock? Just got a little rock here, I just tap it down. Level it all off. Okay, well, yellow ochre, I've got tons of that, so we'll do that one. Tons of yellow ochre. See, I went up the hill and painted with no tubes. I put all the paint on the pallet here and then I walked up there, so if I ran out of anything up there, I would have been in a mess. So that's why I oversupplied myself. I would have had to run down the hill, grab the paint, run back up. You don't want to be doing that. Okay. Once you put the paint back in, you knock them, bang, bang, bang on the ground, and that levels the paint again. As you're putting the lid on, give them a bang, bang. Let's grab this rock. So basically it's going, and that levels the paint again, flattens it all off. So if you did get a skin on it because you've left the paint for a few months, you can just peel that skin back off. But if you've got a mountain range worth of paint in there rather than a flat, trying to get the skin off is not fun. Anyway, what colour have I got next? The rest of it's pretty messy, so I'll just put that in the shade. I can still use those colours, but I'll put it in the shade so it doesn't dry. Right, must be time for breakfast. Alright, breakfast. Now I'm going to knock up a bit of a damper, as I've done many a time before. Wholemeal self-raising flour. I prefer to use the wholemeal myself. Either way is fine. Going to go about a cup. Just going to mix those dry ingredients. So that's the milk powder, flour with a bit of salt. Keep it all aerated. Right, now in a scone mix you would use a bit of butter. Well, I'm not going to use butter, I'm going to use oil, olive oil. So that'll be 2 of these, 2 tablespoons. Generous ones because it adds a nice flavour. Excuse me. Now I just scuff that around. A lot will stick to the knife, so or the spoon, whichever you're using. So rub it in the flour and then just scuff it off like so. Push out some of those lumps. Don't need to get too carried away. You can have it like my paint mix, half mix. Don't really want to over mix a damper. You can sometimes knock the air out of it, I reckon. That'll be enough of that. Now I'll get a bit of water out of the pump here. About half a cup. It's always different, depending on the humidity and whatever else, how much moisture is already in the flour. It's always going to be a different amount of water. So never just put half a cup and think that's perfect, because it won't always be perfect. You'll get it right sometimes. Now the best way to always get exactly the right amount of moisture in your damper is to not mix it with your hands. It's to mix it with a knife and gradually add the water. It's going to take time, so you just gradually add it. We'll put a bit in. And what you do is you stir. And as you can see here, we've got a lot of little lumps. Nothing's really following the knife, it's just a whole lot of little blobs everywhere. Bits of dry blobs, bits of half wet blobs. But we just keep mixing that, and over time those blobs will start to group together and get bigger. Now if you haven't got enough moisture, they will not group anymore, and then you know you need to add more. That's a good indication you've got to add more. But try not to add too much, always just very, very subtle stuff here. That's gotten rid of all the dry ingredients, but now I can see the lumps are there. They're not grouping enough yet, which means we need more water. When you get to the perfect amount of water, all those lumps will just group into one. Don't go any further than that, you'll have it perfect. This way is also good because it aerates. If you use your hand, you're pushing the air out. And this is not like bread, we're not using yeast to make it rise. We're using self-raising flour, so you want to keep it aerated. So by spinning it, you're actually aerating it. It's always going to take a while, but it's best to be patient with this thing. And you can see it's now starting to chase the knife better. It's starting to group. There's only a few big blobs now. And I've managed to keep my grubby mitts out of it, which is also a good thing. It's going to need a tad more. Now don't go overboard. This is very sensitive stuff here. Now look at that, it's starting to definitely chase the knife as one blob now, but it's still breaking up a bit, so there's obviously not quite there, but very much getting there. See how it's chasing the knife, the whole thing now? I can tell it needs just a tiny bit more than that. Whoops, too much. Hopefully not. Okay. Now look at that. She's chasing the knife perfectly. There's one blob now. That would have to be one of the most fantastic. Look at that colour. Middle of the day, beautiful colours, great subject. What do you reckon, eh? Does it get much better than this? I don't think so. there we go. There's one. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Now, you remember me saying that this whole landscape, the Flinders Ranges, was an ancient seabed. Well, it doesn't take much imagination to see that here. You can actually see the ripples in the sand on the bottom. So millions of years ago, it was all just layers and layers building up on top of itself over the years. And then you got the upheaval of the earth and stood it all up on an angle like so. And then erosion, and then you got all the layers going down. Great stuff. A bit of wind starting to kick around, but more than anything cloud. I'm starting to be a little concerned about the cloud cover, not because of the rain. I doubt that it's going to rain, but too much cloud blocks the light and shadow on the hills. So what do you do about that? Take it as it comes. Go on, get out of here. Go on, go on. You know, I would absolutely love it if it did come down in rain, because that'd be a bit of fun. I've got plenty of cover and shelter for all that, so that'd be great. Somehow I don't think it's going to, though. It hasn't rained much here for the last 2 years, so the property owner tells me, and I tend to believe it, judging by the landscape. I'm just going to go for a hike, see if I can find any more classic subjects to paint. Of course, I'll find some because there's plenty around. But usually, the best time in the outback is when you get that magic hour, the morning and the evening, just that golden light. Cast that across the landscape and it turns to magic. It's just one of those things, because the atmosphere is so clear in the outback, because of the lack of pollution and moisture and whatever else, you get this really clear atmosphere. So at sunset, the sun, when it gets right near the horizon, is still fiercely strong. It's not like a hazy light. Because it's so strong, you get that massive complementary colour effect with all the warm oranges contrasting the blues and mauves and pale greens and all that sort of stuff in the shadows. Fantastic. It's actually better when you walk, you don't get so many flies. They tend to just settle down on the back of you or the back of your hat or somewhere. Those birds. Great. Are they finches? No. know what, I'll have to brush up on all my bird identifications. Definitely not finches, because finches only fly within about a K or so of water. There's no water here. Oh, there's a few water troughs, but they're not within a kilometre or so. Just come over here, I'll take you over here, we'll have a look at some of these massive river red gums. They're insane the way they just thrive in this climate. They've got their roots down really deep, and they're in the creek. They only grow in the creek beds. The creek beds rarely flow, but when they do, they bring heaps of water for a day or two. But these massive gums, they've got the roots down extremely deep. They're grabbing water from down who knows where. When you think there's nothing on the surface, there obviously has to be something down there a little bit. As long as the floods come often enough, it's alright. But then again, if they don't, what happens is the tree's defence system, it'll lose a few leaves of course, but it'll also tend to drop massive limbs like that one there. That can happen on a hot evening, no reason, perfectly quiet, no wind. Next minute, bang, hear this massive crack. And the river red gum has dropped a massive limb, and what it's doing is it's shedding itself, so there's less of it to survive. Less moisture to be lost. It seems to happen after a really hot day and it's very still. You'd expect it to be a windy type of a thing that would do it, but no. It seems to be the heat and the stillness. Alright. Signing off. Rain across the outback, a light drizzle. Beautiful stuff. been a little bit of rain last night. Not much, mainly wind. Last night it came in from the north, blowing a gale. I had to shut down all the blooming hatches on my swag. Got up in the morning, it was still alright. Then it came around to the south as the front came in and boof, super intense. I ran up the hill and took a few videos of the area in that golden beautiful light. It was way too windy up there today to paint. We've got fantastic rainbow effects and light and just fleeting moments, fantastic stuff. The weather should clear, it's only a few drops, but yeah, then I'll be able to get back into it. A bit of heat in that one, she won't take long to cook. To tell you the truth, there's a bit of wind blowing. That'll fan the coals and make it even hotter. I don't want it to get too hot, so I'll put this as a windbreak. That tends to stop the... you think with the wind blowing it's actually going to get cooler, but what happens is the wind fans it and it makes the coals burn harder. So if you can block that breeze, you're more likely to get an even cook instead of getting a hot spot somewhere. You can smell the dough. If it's raw dough, it'll smell like raw dough. If it's too hot and burning, you can smell the kind of charcoal burning smell. If it's cooking right, you can actually smell it. It just smells like cooked bread when it's cooked. If it's a bit doughy, you can still smell it. So that's one way of finding out what's going on in there without lifting the lid and wrecking the heat. This place is beautiful in any weather. It's good for a change actually. It's good for every day blue and sunny, every day blue and sunny can get a bit monotonous, believe it or not, even though that's a nice thing in the middle of the winter when you're camping out. It's just nice to have a bit of variety. It's just raining lightly now. I don't know if you can see that or not. Excuse me. Looks like there's still a little bit more rain left in that front, coming in from the southwest. I'm right on the edge of the Flinders Ranges here. Over there in the main part of the Flinders they get a lot more rain anyway. This is kind of like a rain shadow on the edge, which is a great place to paint because you get very consistent light. If it's going to be raining, there's a chance it'll be still clear here, so it makes it good for plein air painting. Anyway, I'm going to get this lid off. Have a look. Not as hot as I thought. Now I've gone and cooled the oven a little. Oh well. One way to fix that. Just turn the oven up a little. There we go. Yeah. Nice little bit of rain coming through, fantastic. Great stuff, eh? Great stuff. Alright, let's have a look what's going on in here. Alright, let's have a look. These camp ovens have just got a little ridge around the top to catch all the coals. So when you put a whole lot of coals on the top, they all stay there. Hopefully. Alright, maybe a knife. Oh, blimey, look at that, I've fluked another one. What a beauty. Been out a fair while painting now, and it's been complete drought, absolutely dry as a bone. All the creeks are dry. All of a sudden, right towards the end of the trip, it comes down in flood. Perfect timing, that way I get to paint drought and flooding rain. Alright. Alright, so bit of a picture of a creek bed, a few gum trees. I've stuck a few darks in so I know what I'm doing. Palette knives, oil paint, canvas. Let's go. Alright. I'm going to put in a few more shadows, I reckon. Well, let's have a look. Here we go. Yep, just banging a few shadows. Cobalt blue and magenta. It'll work out what I've built here. Okay, yes. Okay. Putting some of the shadows on the ground. Those crows sound good in the background. Might we pull through to soften some of those background foliages again. Alright, well that'll pretty much do. I just wanted a big impression of gum trees, sunlight, creek bed, water. Pretty much got that in a nice broad way, so I'll leave it at that and we'll have a closer look in a minute. No worries, thank you.